The 48th session of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee is currently taking place in Busan, bringing together experts and government representatives from around the world to discuss the protection of humanity's most precious heritage. Today, we're connecting live with Dr. Dan Tormey, a UNESCO World Heritage evaluator, to discuss the value of Korea's World Heritage, the importance of international cooperation in heritage preservation, and the challenges that lie ahead. Dr. Tormey, welcome to the program. Hello.
Hello, Doctor.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here with you.
It's an honor to have you on the show, Dr. Tormey. So first and foremost, could you please introduce yourself a little bit to our viewers and also tell us your current role in the field of World Heritage?
Yeah, well, my role in the field of World Heritage includes a lot of really interesting things, and I really love it. And first, I evaluate World Heritage sites, and as a field evaluator, I think I really have the best job in the world. I get to go to some of the most fabulous places on the planet, spend a week there, and really get to know it well. In addition to heritage sites, I also work with UNESCO Global Geoparks, and I'm part of a group that is starting a new type of conservation site, key geoheritage areas, which our team was doing here in Busan 6 weeks ago. I also help countries thinking about preparing World Heritage Site nominations, and this is really fun because there you're at the beginning when conservation approaches are first being considered. And I'm part of the team that reviews the condition of existing World Heritage sites and determines whether they are improving, deteriorating, or staying the same. And more recently, much of my work has been looking at the relationships between climate change, protected areas, and World Heritage. And this draws upon some of my experience that in other work that I do with my company, Catalyst Environmental Solutions. And as you could see from the pictures, I'm a volcanologist as well. So usually my favorite places tend to explode now and then.
Dr. Tormey, I must have to say you must be the person to talk about this topic just by hearing how much you love what you do. I really love that about this passion about you.
Yes. I mean, it does sound like you have the best job in the world. And as much as I love my job, if you plan to step down, you may contact me anytime. So just giving you that for, heads up. So,
Walter, perhaps we can trade and I can talk about K-pop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'd love to have you in the studio.
Definitely. Now, we heard you were in Busan for a related meeting quite recently, actually. What significance do you think it holds that this year's meeting is taking place in Korea and also in Busan?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be in Busan 6 weeks ago. We were developing, my group within IUCN is developing a new type of conservation area called key geoheritage areas. And the Korean Heritage Service hosted us. There was a very large congress. You can see some of the pictures here of the event. Or no, this is the session, but anyway, it was much like this. And it was really a great time to get together. We then had very intensive work sessions together, developing the guidelines for these new key geoheritage areas. And then we also took the time to sing karaoke at night and to visit many of the natural areas during the day. So I think that the World Heritage Committee meeting here is really significant for several reasons. One is, of course, they're going to be choosing which new sites to inscribe on the World Heritage list. And this is significant for Korea because the Getbol tidal flats are under consideration for inscription, or for expansion. They are already inscribed. So hopefully we have some things to celebrate together if that's announced. And then the meeting also considers a lot of important things like the conditions and threats to World Heritage sites. And Korea, I think, is an excellent host for this because they've shown such leadership in supporting World Heritage and really addressing some of the threats and especially the management of these things. So I think it's really highly significant that this meeting is here in Busan right now.
Right. So before we move on, what does the selection process for a host city actually involve?
Well, I'll first say I am not on the selection committee, but I do follow it. I'm always interested in how the selection is made and who is selected. And generally, it starts by a country that's serving on the World Heritage Committee, like Korea is, proposing to host a session. And then they work with UNESCO to develop the specifics of it. And then the World Heritage Committee itself then has to decide and approve the venue. So it's really a cooperative process. You know, it's different from a FIFA host city or an Olympics host city. It's much more cooperative as it's developed. And Korea then takes the responsibility for managing this worldwide event. And I think, as the pictures show, Busan is a perfect city for this. It's a global coastal city, very strong relationship to culture, science, international exchange. And holding the session here really highlights Korea's remarkable heritage and growing contributions to heritage worldwide.
And speaking of which, Korea is home to a number of UNESCO World Heritage sites and continues to pursue new inscriptions. So, Dr. Tormey, in your view, what are the greatest strengths of Korea's World Heritage that deserve greater international attention?
Well, you have some great World Heritage sites. You have 17 of them. 2 of them are within the category that I look at, natural sites. You have the Jeju volcanic island and lava tubes. It's known for its extreme beauty and its extreme geological significance. And then you have the Getbol tidal flats, which include a lot of biodiversity, and it's a global stopover for migratory water birds. So in a natural sense, Korea has demonstrated both sides of natural heritage with a very remarkable volcanic geological site and an amazing biological site in the tidal flats. But where more attention, I think, could be deserved is in other areas of World Heritage. You know, there was the segment just earlier on the food culture that is a part of UNESCO World Heritage. That's intangible values that I think the world could provide more attention to with Korea's listing for that. But really, for me, I'd like to emphasize the 7 UNESCO global geoparks that you have. These connect heritage to sustainable development within particular communities. And so it really invites the community directly into heritage management as either partners to the enterprise, guides, educators, businesses. It really brings the people into the place. And I think especially in Korea, the culture and the landscape are really inseparable. And so for that, I think the global geoparks that you have, which are really amazing, are worthy of more international attention.
Yes, I definitely agree with you there, Doctor. And now, as a World Heritage Committee evaluator, what are the most important criteria you consider when assessing a site's outstanding universal value?
Outstanding universal value. Yes, that is the definition of a World Heritage site. And there's what we call the 3 pillars of World Heritage. One are the scientific pillar. That's the first. And so there's several natural criteria for geology, for biology, for beauty. And so for these, we look at a host of things, but one of the main things is to compare the attributes of the site being nominated and that I'm evaluated with other similar sites globally. Something like outstanding universal value is really a relative term. There's not an absolute scale. So this comparison is really important. And then the next really important part, the second pillar, is the integrity. Is the site sufficiently intact so that people visiting can really appreciate the scientific aspects of outstanding universal value? Has development damaged the values? Are the boundaries large enough both to protect the values and to encompass all of the aspects that are put forth for outstanding universal value? And then finally, the third thing that I look at is protection and management. So what are the various threats to the outstanding universal value? Maybe more visitation, maybe climate change. The site may be particularly vulnerable to climate change. And so I ask the question, are there appropriate legal protections that forever will protect and provide a basis for management? And is the management plan itself built in a way that really responds to the kinds of threats that will be seen? So to be considered for outstanding universal value, all three of those aspects, those three pillars, have to be present in a really remarkable and outstanding way.
And Dr. Tormey, a couple of questions here. What outcomes do you hope will emerge from this year's meeting in Busan? And also, what more do you think Korea can do to play a greater role in the protection and preservation of World Heritage?
Well, I think the first big thing coming out of the session will be the new World Heritage sites that will be approved for inscription on the list. And that's really a cause for celebration. And as I mentioned, Korea has an expansion of the Getbol tidal flats under consideration. And then the other really important thing that happens is, and I think a hopefully significant outcome, will be strengthening international cooperation in addressing the growing threats to World Heritage sites. And so I hope, especially with respect to climate change, which has been recently identified as the most significant threat to World Heritage sites, that the international community can develop a position where climate action and adaptation and nature conservation are done together, so that you don't have a transition to a fossil-free future in a way that puts natural sites at risk. So really, I think in looking to these effects of climate change, putting nature first, I think is hopefully a big outcome that's going to come from this meeting. And Korea, in terms of what they could do more, first, you're doing a lot. You're doing a great deal for World Heritage, and I think that deserves real recognition and thanks. So, 감사합니다, Korea, for that. And, I think one of the, just to pick one, well, two, actually. So financial support is always important, and Korea has been very supportive of many programs, including the one that I'm a part of, the GeoHeritage Specialist Group. And so that's another reason for thanks, and hope that continues. But I think that Korea has really built the capacity and really the mastery of identifying and documenting and prioritizing heritage sites and managing heritage sites. You're so good at that, bringing the community in. And the world really needs that knowledge. And so I think more efforts to share that knowledge that you have outside to countries looking to build programs like yours would be a really great way that Korea could continue to contribute in the way they have to heritage.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Tormey. That's all the time we have. With that, we want to say 감사합니다 to you again, and also for sharing your expertise. I hope we can do this again sometime. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Doctor.
I hope so, and I'll study up my K-pop if Walter needs a helper.
Yes.
So.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to hear from your KHeritage News again soon this week. And yeah, see you next time.
See you next time.